Major backlash over President Obama's response to the Paris terrorist attacks. Now, earlier today, while speaking at the G20 summit in Turkey, the president characterized the horrific rampage as merely a setback in the fight against ISIS. Really? Watch this.
We have always understood that this would be a long-term campaign. There will be setbacks and there will be successes. The terrible events in Paris were obviously a terrible and sickening setback. Even as we grieve with our French friends, however, we can't lose sight that there has been progress being made. The strategy that we are putting forward is the strategy that ultimately is going to work. But as I said from the start, it's going to take time.
Now, the president also got testy with reporters for questioning his brilliant ISIS strategy.
I wanted to go back to something that you said to Margaret earlier when you said that you have not underestimated ISIS's abilities. This is an organization that you once described as a JV team. I think a lot of Americans have this frustration that they see that the United States has the greatest military in the world. It has the backing of nearly every other country in the world when it comes to taking on ISIS. And I guess the question is, and if you'll forgive the language, is why can't we take out these bastards?
Well, Jim, I just spent the last three questions answering that very question, so I don't know what more you want me to add. I think I've described very specifically what our strategy is.
Do you think you really understand this enemy well enough to defeat them and to protect the homeland?
All right, so this is another variation on the same question. And I guess let me try it one last time.
Yeah, why can't we take them out, Mr. President? Now, the president, he was busy scolding reporters for daring to question his actions towards ISIS. There are reports that the terror group put out a video earlier threatening to target all the other countries that have carried out airstrikes in Syria and threatened to strike, quote, the heart of America, Washington, D.C. Now, despite this new disturbing video, the FBI still insists there is no credible ISIS threats to America. Here with reaction, the former director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, Lieutenant General Mike Flynn. Mr. Flynn, thank you for being with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Thanks for having me on. Let me just say a couple of comments here. I'll be as brief as I can. Number one, the president was 100% wrong. If you do not clearly define the enemy that you're going to face, you cannot figure out the best way to defeat that enemy. We are facing radical Islamists, and frankly, this is a war on reality, and the president and his close advisors need to get real. They are obviously not under enough pressure. They are not JVs. They just demonstrated that again. And they will absolutely attack again in places like London, in places like Berlin, in places like New York, in places like Washington, D.C. They're very, very well organized. This is the problem of letting the world go to hell and assuming it won't come back to bite you in the rear end. And frankly, and I'm going to be very candid here, Sean, our amateurish foreign policy has its own place of responsibility in the mayhem that we are seeing right now. The president to stand there and say that our strategy is working against this vicious, vile enemy is absurd. It's absolutely absurd. And I'm stunned at his press conference today and the way he characterized this brutal attack, this brutal 9/11 style attack in Paris as a setback.